inequalities, okay? So I know I have not been really good about, like, get your reference sheets out. I've tried not to have to, like, I don't agree with it. You guys know how I feel about the whole reference sheet thing. I've been very open with you guys about it. But I have to. I have to have you guys do it. So thank you. I see some of you always doing it anyway, and I so appreciate you for just doing it, because I know it's dumb. We're not even using it right now. But anyway, thank you. All right. So guys, we're going to do a word problem, which is similar to what we did in linear equations versus inequalities. And then we're going to solve some multi-step inequalities. And what I want you guys to kind of tune into in your brain, if it's possible, is think back to, oh yeah, we've done this already. The steps are exactly the same. The only thing that's different in what we're doing in this chapter, this module, is that we have that inequality symbol that you have to remember to flip if it's you multiply or divide by a negative, and then sometimes you have to do the number line, okay? But really, all the other stuff is the same. Let me show you what I mean. So Susie wants to self-publish her comic book. One printing company offers to publish the book for a $220 flat rate. Remember that flat fee? Like that one time you pay that much money. Plus, and that's a word I understand, add $3 for every copy of the book. So then it tells us the most from the maximum budget. So she can only spend $400. Can she spend more than $400? No. Can she spend less than $400? Yes. Can she spend exactly $400? Yes. Okay. Those are the questions you kind of want to think about when you hear those, read these problems. Okay. So what we don't know is how many copies of the book she's going to publish. So it's like a Kinko's. Let's just think of it like that, or Office Depot. They're going to say, we will do the job for you for $220, and then for every copy of the book, the comic book that you want printed, you have to pay an additional $3. Okay? So that flat rate of $220 gets paid no matter what. Okay? Plus $3 per copy is at most $400, right? At most, meaning you can go all the way up to $400, but not anymore. Another way of saying maximum, right? So that's what it was in words. Now let's write it in math language. 220 plus. So per copy, whatever variable you want to use, like N, it doesn't matter, X, Z, the first letter of your name. Use any letter you want, okay? Is at most. And so you guys told me we could spend $400 or less, right? So that's less than or equal to $400, right? So do me a favor and just write it over here. And so we've graduated from 5.1 to 5.2 from doing one-step equations to multi-step equations. So don't let the fact that there's a less than weird-looking symbol in there. If it was an equal sign, you would do all the same steps, okay? What would the first step be in this problem? Jace? We are going to subtract, but not the 3n or 3x. We're going to subtract the 220, okay? So we're slowly peeling away everything that's on that side. So you have the subtraction right. So subtract 220 from both sides. Calculator, and you get, what is it? I did it wrong this morning too. 180? Yep, 180. You can put it in your calculator. I just don't have mine right here. All right, and then what would the last step be? Divide by 3. Am I going to flip my inequality symbol? No, because I did not divide by a negative. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, this number I wrote in blue, if it were negative, I would have to remember to flip my inequality symbol. Sorry, there's an equal to sign over there. So Susie can have up to 60 books printed. She has enough money to pay the flat fee and have 60 of them copied to stay within her budget. Okay? So not too bad. I gave you one word problem in the homework, and I'm going to do it with you, so it'll be okay. let's get to the next example. Example 2. Please just take a second. I'll wait for you to rewrite it right over there off to the side. Ooh, this person got it, right? Okay, so we're going to solve inequality. What would the first step be? No, sir. Alexis, do you know what the first step would be? Do you know what the first step would be? Go with your gut. You're right. Add 17. Yeah. So remember, we're trying to get x by itself. We want to get this minus this 2, this minus the 17 all have to go away. Okay? If there's something to add or subtract, we do that first. Okay? So add 17 to both sides. So what I have now is this. Put that in my calculator and I get 24. This looks kind of familiar. This is where you might be able to figure out if you did this right. Guys, if there's a negative in a fraction, okay, that means the negative, there's a negative. This number over here is negative, okay? You might see the negative put in the numerator, like right in the middle. You might even see it in the denominator, but one negative is all it is. So you have 2 different ways you can look at this. Literally 2 different ways, okay? So understand, don't write over here. We need the space over here. You could think of this as this. Remember how I said that's just a 1 in front? And you could divide by negative 1/2. Or you could say, oh, this is just x divided by 2, and I'm going to put the negative in the denominator. And you could multiply both sides by negative 2. You will get the same answer whether you divide by negative 1/2 or multiply by negative 2. Guys, when you divide, let me not say that. Okay. So I think it's easier, and what I saw a lot of you guys doing yesterday was seeing this as just like x divided by 2. So then you would multiply. And just take the negative with it, because a negative 2 times a negative 2, a negative 2 with a negative 2 in the denominator just cancel out, and you're just left with x. Are we going to flip the inequality symbol here? Yes, because we're multiplying or dividing, whichever way you chose to do it, by a negative. So you have to remember to flip. Did we remember to flip on this problem? Because that's what you would have had to do. Okay? So you would have multiplied both sides by negative 4, flip the inequality symbol, and get negative 32. Okay? And then when you graph it, graph on a number line, open circle. And remember, if x is on the left-hand side, your arrow goes in the same direction as your inequality symbol. The first person I saw, Caroline, definitely got it right, but I've only gone through like 3 of them. So Caroline definitely, she's doing good job. All right, and I'm sure more of you. All right, put it on the number line, guys. At negative 48, that would be an open circle. X is on the correct side. You always want x over here. Remember, if x ends up on the other side, flip it like a pancake. Okay? We're going to do one more that's got the most going on in the entire universe. Okay? Did I scare you? That's this one. Now, I want all of you, this is the last problem I'm going to do with you, and then we'll have plenty of time to work on the homework. Guys, I want you guys to take your time, because you don't want to mess up anything, and rewrite that up here so we can actually work on it. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite it up here, and you are going to rewrite it up here. Just be careful that you don't miss a negative or an equal to sign or something. Yasmin got it right. Okay, so guys, if you remember at the beginning of the year, we started out solving equations. We did one step, two step, multi-step, and we graduated to doing a whole bunch of like crazy steps. And when they start throwing parentheses in there, that's when you know, okay, that's what I start with. When I see parentheses, I know I have to get rid of the parentheses. That's called the distributive property. Okay, so anywhere we see some distributive property that needs to happen, we're going to start there. Okay, and we have one on both sides of the equation. So just be really careful. When I helped first period with their homework, I saw a lot of like, I'm going to use the word careless, I'm not trying to criticize, but like where they just do 4 times 11 is 44 instead of 4 times negative 11 would be negative 44. So make sure if you have trouble with your signs, you're using your calculator. All right, I'm just bringing the negative 12 down, and I'm going to distribute positive 2. Be careful. Sometimes the number out in front could have a negative in front of it, so you would distribute a negative 2. But this is just 2 times x is positive 2x, and 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. It already looks better, just getting rid of the parentheses. The next step is, are there any like terms on the same side? In other words, this left-hand side in green, can I add those two together or subtract them? Can I do 8x minus 44? No, they're not like terms. One has an x, one is called a constant. Are there any like terms on the right-hand side? Yes, of course. We see negative 12 minus 8. Remember, we're not crossing over the equal sign, so you don't do opposite. You just read it left to right and type it in your calculator left to right. 12 negative minus 8 will give you negative 20. Okay? So I have negative 20 by putting those two together, but don't forget there's still a plus 2x over there. Okay, got rid of the parentheses, combined like terms on the same side. Now we look for like terms on opposite sides. And we have x's on both sides, right? And constants on both sides. So at some point we have to get them all together. Constants with constants, x's with x's. And I do want you to always do the variable first. Do the x's first. You can either subtract 2x or subtract 8x. With an inequality, we like to have x on the left-hand side, so it makes sense to bring this 2x to this side, which would give me 6x minus 44 is less than or equal to negative 20. All right, 2 more steps. What's next, birthday girl? Add 44. So now we're just trying to get everybody away from the x. So add 44 to both sides. I'll put that in my calculator. Well, let's cancel. 6x is less than or equal to, put that in my calculator, I got 24. One more step and we're done, which would be what? Divide both sides by 6. Am I flipping my inequality symbol? Nope, because the 6 isn't negative. Okay. Open or close circle on the 4. Closed, because of the equal to sign. Color that circle in. Closed and circle. And x is on the correct side. So our arrow goes in the same direction as our inequality symbol. Okay. Good times. All right. Page 273. And I'm going to do that one word problem with you. All right, Lupe wants to rent a metal detector. A rental company charges a one-time rental fee of $15 plus $2 per hour to rent a metal detector. Lupe has only $35 to spend. Okay? So we're going to write an inequality that represents that. So let's just go through it. A one-time fee of $15. Got it. This word means that symbol, right? Plus $2 per hour. The hours is what we're trying to find out, how many hours that she can afford to rent it. That's our unknown. That's your variable. So put a letter on it, okay? Whatever letter you want. So $15 flat fee plus $2 for every hour, and she has $35 to spend. So this is when you have to decide on what symbol you're going to put there. Can she spend more than $35? Nope, so we have to use the less than symbol. Can she spend exactly $35? Yeah. Got $35 to spend. So there's your inequality. Now we solve it. You would subtract 15 from both sides. And divide by 2. So n is less than or equal to 10. So she can afford to rent the metal detector for up to 10 hours. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, anything less than that. So I will put the key up in a minute. Read the directions on the next page. It says to write the inequality, solve the inequality, graph the inequality. My key does not have the work. You must show work to get credit. Let's look at your packets. How many people just had answers and didn't get the points? Don't be that person. If you don't get the answer that I have, figure out why by either asking your neighbor, asking me. Don't just change your answer. You realize it's right there, so it should take you 20 seconds. Yes. Alyssa got it. Liliana, Lily got it. Sylvia got it. That's a blank piece of paper. Aristotle got it. Look at all these. Oh, that's when I said that in order. I apologize. Mixed up my piles. And some of you were so close you just forgot to flip your inequality symbol. Okay, so Caroline, Aristotle, Sylvia, Lily, and Stella. But we'll do that more often if you guys want to. If anybody wants to see theirs and ask them why they got it wrong. Okay, when you write numbers, you have them out. 16 was already 16 already written for you. So when you do number 16, guys, you're going to distribute, and you're going to have ends on both sides. You need to get your ends together. And in that situation, you're kind of stuck having to move your ends to the right-hand side. So when you do the distributive property, you would have that, right? You distribute the -3. And you have ends on both sides. You're not going to bring this 6n over here, because your goal is to get them by itself. So you would add 21n. And you're going to have to flip it like a pancake in a minute. Okay, so I added 21n to both sides. Remember, get your letters together on one side, and then divide by 27. And how did the key write it? So if you do division, it's going to give you a decimal. And if you notice, when I put the key up again, it gives the answer as n is greater than -1/3. When you type that in your calculator, it's going to give you -0.3. Okay? So remember what to do. You're looking at a multiple choice test, and you're like, wait a second, why isn't my answer there? I know I did it right. Well, it's because they just changed the decimal to a fraction. Anytime that happens, so you just probably were like, oh, I'm just going to do 9 negative, let me find where it works, y this side of 13. Okay, 9 negative divided by 27. And you got this craziness, right? And that is not what the answer is. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Clear it and then put it in as a fraction. 9 negative fraction key 27. And that's where you'll see the answer is negative 1/3. Okay? So if you get a decimal answer and the options are all fractions, don't put it in as division, put it in as a fraction. If you put it in as a fraction, it keeps it as a fraction. When you do division, it will default to a decimal. Don't forget to flip it like a pancake. N should go over here. Alligator still eating the bigger number. So flipped it like a pancake. Okay, alligator still eating the N. When you flip it. Flip like a pancake. Okay, and then you can put it on the number line. Does that make sense, Alan? So that's where that came from. Make sure you sign into the clinic. Here's the sign in. I'll be right there, Priscilla. Literally, is that number that you're either multiplying or dividing by? giving you three answers. Like, there's the equation, that's the solution, you show the fifth solution, and then the graph of it. And so, sorry if it looks like part of the equation there. Yeah. Did you put this up here? Oh, okay.